What if Trump's biggest mistake wasn't underestimating China or Europe, but a country he thought would never fight back? While America focuses on trade wars abroad, Canada just made a move so calculated, so permanent, that American farmers are panicking in ways Trump never anticipated. And the wildest part? He gave us permission to do it. Here's what's actually happening right now and why it matters to your wallet. Canada just announced a strategic investment that sounds boring on paper, $500 million for food infrastructure. But dig deeper and you'll see this isn't government spending. This is Canada saying, we're done playing by your rules. For decades, our food system was built on trust. We raised cattle here, sent them south for processing, then bought our own beef back at a markup. We grew food in summer, then imported from California all winter. Our supply chains crossed the border so many times, a tomato traveled more than most Canadians do in a year. It was efficient, it was cheap. And Trump just weaponized all of it against us. When Trump slapped tariffs on Canadian goods, 25% on steel, threats of 35% on everything else, even whispers of 100% if we didn't comply, he thought he found our pressure point. The impact hit hard. Beef prices dropped 22%. Pork exports fell 8%. Your grocery bills jumped as food inflation surged past 6%. The American playbook was simple. Hurt Canadian wallets and the government will cave on dairy, energy, whatever we want. But here's what Trump didn't calculate. He confused our politeness with weakness. He thought we'd come begging for exemptions. Instead, we went shopping for industrial equipment. Mark Carney didn't fly to Washington. He walked into a grocery store and unveiled something Trump's team never saw coming: a plan to make the United States irrelevant to our food supply. This $500 million isn't a Band-Aid subsidy to keep farmers afloat while they lose money. This is infrastructure that physically rewrites the map of North American food production. Here's the genius part. We're building state-of-the-art meat packing facilities in Alberta and across the West. When Canadian cattle stay in Canada from birth to your plate, American tariffs become meaningless. They can't tax what doesn't cross their border. The plan includes immediate tax write-offs for any greenhouse before 2030. Companies can expense the entire cost instantly. This isn't just an incentive, it's rocket fuel for controlled environment agriculture. Within 5 years, the produce in your January shopping cart won't come from California. It'll come from high-tech greenhouses in Ontario, Quebec, and BC, powered by our hydroelectricity, fed by our fresh water. Let me explain why American agricultural lobbyists are losing sleep over this. Tariffs are temporary. Factories are permanent. If the U.S. imposes a tariff and we stop buying for 6 months, trade might resume when politics change. But if we use those 6 months to build a billion-dollar processing industry and greenhouse network, we're never coming back. Even if Trump left office tomorrow and tariffs dropped to 0, those Canadian facilities are already built. The capital is deployed. The contracts with grocery chains are signed. The jobs exist. This is what I call economic judo, using their force against them. Trump pushed hard, expecting us to push back with angry words or retaliatory tariffs that would hurt us too. Instead, we stepped aside and used his aggression as justification to do exactly what American exporters feared most: build independence they can't undo. 10 years ago, if Canada announced massive subsidies for domestic food production, the U.S. would have dragged us to the WTO screaming protectionism. Today, they can't say a word. Trump handed us the moral ground and legal cover to restructure our entire food economy. For generations, we accepted a myth: Canada's too cold to feed itself in winter.
But here's the reality nobody talks about. California and the American Southwest are facing an ecological crisis that makes our snow look like a blessing. The Colorado River is drying up. The Ogallala Aquifer is being drained unsustainably. Every lettuce head we imported was a product of borrowed time, water that's running out. Canada holds 20% of the world's fresh water. We have abundant hydroelectric power in Quebec, Manitoba, and BC. Modern greenhouses convert electricity and water into food year-round, regardless of what's happening outside. We're not fighting geography anymore. We're leveraging our greatest assets, clean energy and water, to grow food that American states physically can't sustain much longer. When you buy Canadian peppers, cucumbers, and strawberries in February, you're not just supporting local farmers, you're betting on a sustainable system while California's model literally runs dry. The $500 million is the headline, but there's a force multiplier nobody's talking about.
The government is redirecting $70 billion in federal spending toward Canadian suppliers over 5 years. Think about the scale. Military bases, federal facilities, northern outposts, government contracts coast to coast. This creates guaranteed demand. Farmers can expand knowing that even if consumer markets fluctuate, government contracts provide a solid foundation. This triggers a virtuous cycle. Guaranteed demand, increased production. Increased production, economies of scale. Economies of scale, lower costs. Lower costs, cheaper groceries for you. Plus, every greenhouse technician in Leamington, every meat processor in Red Deer, every logistics manager in Moncton, those are Canadian jobs, supporting Canadian families and paying Canadian taxes. When we import food, we export those wages. When we produce here, that money stays in our communities. This food strategy fits into a larger transformation happening across Canada. For too long, we took the easy road, selling 75% of our exports to one customer. Close, convenient, same language, but it made us lazy and vulnerable. Now we're diversifying everything. Arctic infrastructure. As the Northwest Passage opens, Canada sits at the center of future shipping routes between Europe and Asia. We're building infrastructure to control our own backyard. Asian markets. We unlocked $4 billion in canola exports to China. Every bushel going to Shanghai is one Trump can't hold hostage. Internal unity. For too long, it was easier for Vancouver to sell to Seattle than to Halifax. This plan forces us to build east-west distribution, finally creating a true national market. We're moving from one vulnerable customer to 5 strong relationships. Diversification is security. There's a shift happening that the United States is trying to ignore. We're moving from the geopolitics of oil to the geopolitics of water and energy stability. In this new reality, power tilts north. American agriculture runs on fossil water from depleting aquifers and shrinking rivers. Every drought season exposes how fragile that system is. Canadian agriculture, especially controlled environment farming, runs on renewable hydroelectric power and abundant fresh water. We're not mining our resources, we're manufacturing food from renewable inputs. This makes our food supply anti-fragile. While American farms battle heat waves and water restrictions, our greenhouses maintain perfect growing conditions, powered by rivers that won't run dry. Here's what makes this moment profound for Canadians who've watched our relationship with the U.S. evolve over 50 years. Many of us grew up when the border felt invisible, shared culture, open economy, genuine partnership. It's natural to feel loss as that relationship turns cold. But nations, like people, often discover their true strength only when forced to stand alone. We've been asked, who are we if not America's partner? This $500 million plan answers loudly. We're Canada,
a resource powerhouse, a technological innovator, a nation that values order, community, and self-reliance. We're a country that can feed our people, power our economy, and chart our own course. Trump, trying to make America great by trampling neighbors, accidentally helped make Canada sovereign again. He stripped away the complacency holding us back. He taught us that we can't rely on others' goodwill. We must rely on our own strength, ingenuity, and resources. Picture Canada in 2030 if this succeeds. High-tech greenhouses glowing across winter landscapes, powering rural economies. A processing sector capturing full value from our resources. Distribution networks connecting coast to coast. The National School Food Program feeding 400,000 kids annually. Not just a social policy, but economic strategy, creating recession-proof markets for farmers, while ensuring vulnerable children benefit from our agricultural wealth. A farmer in Saskatchewan directly supporting a student in Nova Scotia. Bonds no foreign tariff can break. This is how you build a nation that's not just a trading post, but a community. Canadian victory doesn't look like American victory. It's not loud, no fireworks or aircraft carriers, no booming speeches. It's the quiet hum of ventilation fans in new greenhouses, the calm of grocery aisles where prices stabilize, the confidence of farmers who know their markets are secure. We didn't start this fight. We didn't want it. We preferred the peace of partnership and shared prosperity. But when the fight came to us, we didn't panic. We didn't surrender. We went to work. We're building the infrastructure of a sovereign nation, securing a legacy where our children never wonder if a foreign election determines whether they can afford to eat. This 500 million is just the foundation, the first stone in a new Canada, respectful of neighbors, but subservient to none. If this kind of analysis matters to you, subscribe and hit notifications. We're building a community that values facts over fear. Drop a comment. Do you think this move came too late, or is the timing perfect? Let's discuss. Thanks for watching. Stay informed. Stay proud. Canada is going to be just fine, maybe stronger than we've ever been.